Afterwards, Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and told him, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel says. Let my people go, so that they may hold a festival of 3 days to me in the wilderness." But Pharaoh responded, "Who is this Lord that I should obey him? I don't know him." So Pharaoh didn't even recognize God. He didn't respect his authority. And this is the reality. Not everyone will accept or acknowledge what God has sent you to do. Of course, some will accept it, some will question you, some will resist it, and when authority is rejected, pressure increases. Pharaoh questioned Moses and Aaron's authority and wondered why they want to take the Israelites away and stop them from doing their job. And he decided to make the work harder for them. No straw, same quota, which means their work will not be reduced. He was initially supplying them straw for building, but after Moses and Aaron stepped forward to make this request, he decided to stop supplying them straw. So the Israelites had to go out to look for their own straw and still complete their normal task as when they had straw. Pharaoh's slave drivers even had to beat the Israelite overseers they had appointed, demanding why they haven't been able to meet their task. The pressure was so high. More suffering, more pressure. Now the Israelites cried out, but not to God this time. They cried out against Moses and Aaron. The Israelite overseers decided to talk to Pharaoh about the bad treatment they were receiving from the slave drivers. Guess what Pharaoh said to them? He told them they are very lazy, and that is why they have the time to think of going away from their job for 3 days to make sacrifices to their Lord. And now that they have more work to do and more tasks to meet, they won't be able to think about that anymore. The Israelites cried out against Moses and not to God, because when they cried out to God before, God sent them Moses. Now Moses is here to make things worse for them, and they caused Moses and Aaron. These were the same people rejoicing earlier who bowed down and worshipped. But now, they decided to turn their back against Moses because of inconvenience. The reality is that people will celebrate you when things are good, but question and curse you when things get hard. Even Moses was confused and went back to God. He asked God, "Why? Why have you brought trouble to these people? Ever since I obeyed, things got worse, and you haven't rescued your people at all." This is real. Sometimes obedience doesn't make sense immediately, but God answered him and said, "Now you will see, I am the Lord. I have heard your groaning, and I have remembered my covenants. Though I didn't make myself fully known to your fathers as the Lord, but the Almighty, I will bring you out, and I will free you from being slaves to them. I will redeem you." This wasn't a maybe, this was a promise. But even after hearing this, the people still didn't believe. Moses spoke to them again, but they didn't listen. Why? Because of discouragement and harsh labor. Pain can block faith, and suffering can make people deaf to hope. And sometimes it's not that God is not speaking, it's just that people are too broken to hear. Pharaoh refused to listen, as God said he will harden his heart and multiply his signs and wonders. And Egypt will know that I am the Lord. This was no longer just about Israel. This was about revelation as well. God was about to make himself known through power. Now Aaron threw down his staff as the Lord has commanded, and it became a serpent. But Pharaoh summoned his magicians and sorcerers to do the same. For a moment it looked the same, but then Aaron's staff swallowed theirs. A reminder, no power on this earth and in heaven can stand against God. Yet still, Pharaoh refused. So the next morning, God instructed Moses to confront Pharaoh on the bank of the Nile. Moses told Aaron to stretch the staff over the waters of Egypt in the presence of Pharaoh and his officials. The Nile was struck and turned to blood. The fish died, and the water became undrinkable. Egypt was hit. This now was the first sign that God was no longer speaking. He was acting. But even then, Pharaoh had his magicians do the same, and he wasn't even moved. His heart remained hard.